This game takes 400 days to beat. That's if you don't abuse any mechanics that can speed up the progress, and even then, the game finds a way to make you feel like it takes an eternity.
Bro, this cannot be serious. This is the walking speed?
So I found out about the longing through a video by Geosage, in which he tried speedrunning the 400 days. Well, faster than 400 days. This works because there's actually many mechanics that can speed up the time progress. The three main mechanics being books, which skip a minute for every page, making it actually the fastest way to skip time if you use an autoclicker. The problem being they're finite and take time to collect, so this isn't the main priority. The second way to speed up the game is collecting various items that speed up the time passively, up to 20 times the speed. However, this takes ages to set up, and even after you spend 8 hours collecting all the items, in the end, speeding it up 20 times, the game still takes about 20 days to beat. Which brings us to the third method to skip time, the musical instrument. Once you've collected all 4 parts, you can play 4 notes in the correct order to skip 10 minutes. But if you do the maths, you'll actually realize to skip 400 days using this method, it'll require you to press about 200,000 inputs. In the wise words of Geosage,
I don't know about you, but that sounds like the sort of thing only a crazy person would do.
Introducing me, a crazy person. While Geosage decided to mainly focus on setting up the 20 times passive time speedup, in this video I'll take a different approach, focusing exclusively on the instrument in order to skip time. So after a quick test run memorizing all the locations of the instrument parts and testing how it works, I started thinking of a way of how to do this as efficiently as possible. And I remembered some stuff that Geo said towards the end of his video.
So theoretically, if the game was running at 60 FPS, and you had a macro that could play one music note every frame, you could get time moving at 150 in-game minutes per real-life second.
So I set out to write a macro script, totally by myself.
Hey, you are not going to thank me for helping you?
Shut up, ChatGPT. You're to do as you're told. So yeah, with the script ready, I set off to start my first actual run. I'm gonna play the run in the background while I explain the difficulties and problems that occurred during the run and setting up the script. So, in the video, Geo mentions that theoretically, if you use the script to press one input per frame with the game running at 60 FPS, you could theoretically pass 150 in-game minutes in 1 second IRL. That works in theory, yeah, but I noticed that when I tried it in practice, there's actually a cooldown of somewhere between 210 and 220 milliseconds for the input to count towards the time skip. So I had to account for that in my macro script. Through trial and error, I eventually found the just mentioned sweet spot of like 220-230 milliseconds cooldown, and I was able to get a rate of about 4 inputs every 1.77 seconds. In other words, every 1.77 seconds, I could skip around 10 minutes. There's around 467,000 minutes in 400 days, which means at this rate, I can beat the game in about 28 hours and 20 minutes, plus the time it takes me to acquire all the instrument parts, which definitely takes some time. So if you'd be playing the game using the passive time speed method at around 20 times the speed, like Geo did, with about 8 hours of setup, with this method you'd be playing the game at literally close to 400 times the speed. And I think it's safe to say this is by far the most efficient way to play the game, requiring almost no setup and being super quick. Sadly, it can't be submitted as an actual run, so I'm just gonna submit it as our own unofficial community category, beating the game as fast as possible using only the instrument at 28 hours and 39 minutes. At some point in the run, I started to actually feel really sorry for the little shade, because he just kept saying like super depressed shit.
I have never understood life. A shade. I love you. You're not alone, okay? I'm with you. He just got born. He's already fucking bald. He doesn't even, it's like a few hairs in the back. Poor guy. He just got born. He's already a fucking broken old man. Like, what did he do?
I mean, yeah, even though this is probably the most efficient way to beat the 400 days, it's definitely not the most pleasant for little Jimmy, because while Geosages Shade is in his cozy little cave with crystals, painting, playing some pleasant saxophone tunes, here's my little Ash guy working slave shifts for hours without rest, his mouth getting dry and his lungs burning from constant blowing. Also, this isn't actually the commonly accepted any percent speedrun route, since it's possible to beat the game before 400 days actually pass. From the other runs I've seen, most do include the instrument at some point to skip time in order to trigger certain events, but then they just kind of go off into some cave at I think day 398 and kind of like end themselves. I don't really know what this ending is about. I feel like maybe it would be worth doing a bit of setup and gathering some books or items that speed up the passive time speed, you know, but those would take time to set up. Time that I could be using to force my little shadow into slave labor. And I think I actually prefer that over playing myself and gathering items like a maniac. Like, who even does that? Also, I have been thinking about maybe going into the game file itself and messing around with it, possibly to tweak some stats and kind of remove the cooldown, you know? So Geo's calculation might actually be made possible in practice and not just in theory, and allow me to change the script to be much quicker, so I can actually like maybe achieve 150 minutes passing in 1 second. This definitely wouldn't be able to be submitted as a speedrun, but it would be really cool to see, to be honest. But if anything, that's for another video. Oh yeah, and of course I'll post the script for the macro in the description for everyone who'd like to try it. Just look up a tutorial on how to set up an auto hotkey and paste the script in the description into the notepad and toggle it with F1 once you've picked up the instrument. Sadly, I can't submit this run either because I have used a macro and that is banned in the 400 day speedrun category, but that really wasn't my goal from the beginning. I just wanted to kind of see what happens if you kind of mess around with the game and how quickly you can beat it with as little setup as possible. So that's why I actually did an actual submittable any percent run. Did I beat the number 1? Find out. If you're watching this right now, the video might have already been released, I don't know. If not, you might want to subscribe to not miss out on it. If not, that's fine of course. Thanks for watching. See you.